Hi everyone, I'm Vinod and welcome to Career Bolt. I work as a faculty at IIT Kerala and often come across students who talk about the IIT exams, and I wanted to use this video to talk about some folks who actually topped the IIT exam but decided not to study at IITs. So let's jump straight in. Okay, so I have around 8 people I'm going to be talking about today. And the first person in terms of the people I could research on was in 1986, Sanjeev Arora. So Sanjeev was a topper in 1986. And what happened was that he decided to join IIT Kanpur, which was really famous for computer science during the 80s and 90s. So he studied there for 2 years and then transferred to MIT. And he basically had a math undergrad in math and computer science from MIT, and then he went on to do a PhD from Berkeley in 1994. So he currently works as a professor at Princeton University. So this is among the first of the people who ended up going abroad even after being a topper. So he basically ended up studying for 2 years before moving on. Likewise, 1988 was another interesting case where Raghav Chari was a topper, and you can see that he did his undergrad in Caltech in 3 years. Typically, a undergrad degree in a US university takes 4 years. So if you do it in 3 years, it gives me a sense that he probably studied in one of the IITs for maybe 1 or 2 years and then transferred. But I could be wrong. He could also be an exceptional student who was able to do a 4-year degree within 3 years. Raghav clearly majored in mathematics. So the choice between going abroad is that the focus on the sciences, basic sciences. I feel that compared to the IITs, when it comes to the basic sciences, universities abroad offer a much better deal because there's so much more learning which happens. The actual physics, chemistry, and mathematics courses which exist within the IITs, they tend to take a second seat when compared to the engineering schools for different reasons. So yeah, it does sometimes make sense to study abroad. So Raghav studied mathematics and then did a PhD in physics at Princeton University. He's currently a president and CEO at Manzara Therapeutics in New York. But before that, he was working in Dr. Reddy's laboratories in New Jersey as a president of one of the operating units. So that's Raghav for you. Raghav also worked in McKinsey after his time in Princeton. So the third person comes in much later. So 1998 is when Abhinav Kumar tops the IIT exam, and you can see that Abhinav does an undergrad in MIT in math, physics, computer science, and finishes that in 2002. It's a 4-year program, so I believe that Abhinav applied to the IITs and to universities abroad at the same time. He got in most probably with full funding. So typically the way universities like MIT offer full funding is or Caltech for that matter, or even other universities like Stanford or Berkeley, they do take in transfer students, but for getting full funding, you typically should be a person who has won either a math Olympiad gold medal or a physics Olympiad gold medal, or at least a silver medal. And you need to be one of the best among the people who top the IIT exam. So probably in the top 5, top 10 ranks. And you also need to have a good GPA if you're studying in an IIT, preferably 9 and above. So those typically are the kind of people who get into foreign universities, especially for the undergrad programs. Abhinav went on to do his PhD in mathematics from Harvard University. And he worked in MIT for a couple of years as an assistant and associate professor, but then decided after some time to be a postdoc researcher at Microsoft, and he currently works in Stony Brook University, the State University of New York, Stony Brook, as a visiting research scholar, and he also works in a private sector company called Renaissance Technologies. So that's Abhinav, who went to academia but decided later that maybe he wants to be in the private sector. So after 98, it's much later that in 2006, Raghu Mahajan actually ends up topping the IIT entrance exam in 2006. And he actually goes on to IIT Delhi, where he studies for 2 years, has a perfect GPA, which is very interesting, 10 out of 10. After that, he decides to go to MIT and does a major in physics and mathematics. And you can see that he went on to do a PhD, and he also went to study at Cambridge in physics, and then he studied further theoretical and mathematics physics at Stanford University. He's currently a postdoc at Stanford after finishing his PhD in 2017. And this is something about physics programs and mathematics programs that you have to spend a lot of time as a postdoc before you get academic positions, because these departments tend to be very small and there are not enough new appointments open for people who want to become assistant professors. So that's Raghu in 2006. After 2006, it was 2014 when Chitraang Murdia becomes a topper. He actually goes to IIT Bombay. And you can see that during the 2010 onwards, a lot of students end up joining IIT Bombay for no reason, if you ask me. And he did his bachelor's in computer science. He studied for bachelor's in computer science studies for a year and then transfers to MIT. So when he does his transfer, basically he joins as a second year student at MIT and then goes on to finish his bachelor's in physics and goes on to Berkeley to do a PhD. So that's Chitraang, and it looks like he probably just finished his PhD at Berkeley. So again, you can see examples of people who actually study. Very rarely do people go straight to MIT or Stanford for the undergrad program. They prefer to maybe study for a year or two at IITs and then go abroad. I think partly the reason why they go abroad is because many of them get full funding. As IIT topper, you have a very good case for getting a full scholarship. So that's what people use. So in this case, Satwat Jagwani was a topper again in 2015 and studied for 2 years at IIT Bombay. He was definitely not the topper of his class. His grade was close to a 9 out of 10. So I'm sure there are a lot of people above him in terms of grade point average. But still, because of the fact that he was a topper, he had a GPA above 9, studied for 2 years at IIT Bombay, he got a chance to go to MIT. So you can see that Satwat is unlike other folks who shifted to physics and pure sciences. Satwat actually goes on to do a bachelor in computer science and engineering from MIT. And he spends 2 years at IIT Bombay and then joins as a second year student at MIT. And the advantage is that MIT also offers a Master of Engineering course, so you can finish your master's course within a year. And a 4.2 out of 5 is not impressive at MIT, but then Satwat graduates and goes on to right now work as a software development engineer at Cadence. So great, I mean, great career where he goes to IIT Bombay, transfers to MIT, does his master's, that's amazing. But interestingly, he has not pursued a PhD. So looks like there are a lot more job opportunities where you don't need a really academic PhD program, and you can also have very good career options in industry. And Satwat is based out of San Jose. Silicon Valley has a lot of companies, lots of jobs. So no wonder he decided to go and work in companies which probably pay equivalent or way more than what you would have when he's doing his PhD program, or if he gets a job as assistant professor, he's going to be paid less than what a software engineer in the Silicon Valley gets paid. 2020 is Chirag Falor, and Chirag applied to the IIT exams and also MIT at the same time. He got into MIT. He's a second year student, sophomore, as per the American parlance, and he's planning to major in physics and mathematics, which is awesome. And I think one of the biggest reasons why people go abroad is to study the basic sciences, and that makes a lot of sense. So let's see whether he indeed continues to pursue a PhD in the basic sciences like some of his historic predecessors. 2022, this year was a really interesting example. RK Shishir topped the exam at IITs and decided not to join the IITs and decided to join the Indian Institute of Science. I think this is the first time in the history of IITs that this has happened. So RK Shishir topped the IIT advanced exam and then decided, okay, IISc is for him, and looks like he's pursuing a program in math and computing. So even a lot of IITs also offer programs in math and computing, and they typically get filled with the 1,500, 2,000 ranks in the JEE exam. But IISc clearly is top for research. It's as good as any of the IITs. And there's a great research happening in JNCASR, IISc, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, and so on. And clearly, it's a great decision to join IISc. The reasons seems to be that he doesn't want a job-oriented program. He wants to do more R&D and entrepreneurship. A little surprised by entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship actually links to jobs. And if there's a close link between jobs and the program, then clearly there's going to be a space for entrepreneurship in that university. And IIT Bombay actually has a very strong entrepreneurship program and mentorship program. So again, IAC, I'm not that sure as to entrepreneurship into how strong it is, but their R&D is in terms of the course curriculum and teachers you meet, clearly second to none. And to be frank, none of the top IITs are anyway worse than any of the others, including IASC, and they're all as good as each other. So it doesn't really matter, but I think I'm both surprised, but I'm also very happy that a person like Shishir is ready to think outside the box and do something very different and follow his heart and not get caught in the frenzy, which a lot of people get caught in when they try to crack the JE exam and follow the closing and opening ranks in terms of what their seniors did when they choose programs. Okay, friends, I come to the end of my video. So if you have any questions, comments, let me know in the comments below. And do press the like button and subscribe to my channel by pressing the bell icon, because that's the only way YouTube is gonna send you more of these videos as and when I keep posting them. Cheers, folks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.